Squadron Hawk for Baneslayer Angel. He's got spicy little main deck removal packages. He's got Oust, Condemn, and Journey to Nowhere, all as one-ofs, only 2 Day of Judgments. Spreading Seas in the sideboard.
We're underway.
Otherwise, Edgar Flores the deck, yeah, just take his deck from last week, add 2 Flash Races to the sideboard, cut, I don't know, he's got 2 Purges, 2 Flash Races, 3 Offerings, 4 Ousts, 2 Sun Titans, and 2 Baneslayer Angels, so cut whatever's missing.
And the players are starting with basically a mirror match in almost the purest sense until Jibraeel just played a Stoneforge to answer Edgar's Squadron Hawk. And both players have a Colonnade that they started with and followed with the Sea Chrome Coast. So now, so the Squadron Hawk, or the Stoneforge rather, searches up a Sword of Feast and Famine. I believe Edgar searched up the whole trio of Hawks, although he may have only searched up 2. He definitely searched up some Hawks when he cast that Hawk before. So now Edgar's going to preordain here, ships them both, draws a card, and gets his planes down here. He's got 2 mana up. He's going to beat him with a Hawk here, taking Jibraeel to 19.
So who do you think has advantage in this mirror match? Obviously, Edgar on play skill has a clear advantage there, but how does Baneslayer Angel main deck affect this matchup?
Baneslayer.
4 quad laser Baneslayers.
I mean, have we seen 4 of Baneslayer in a deck in a while? So I mean, like, who knows? You know what I mean? It's going to come down. If he's got 4 of them, we're going to see it. So see if Edgar can answer it. Edgar runs 3 mana leaks, a deprive, and a cancel. So those could all possibly stop it. Obviously, Jace is to bounce. Gideon to absorb some damage and maybe, Royal Assassin him out. So obviously Edgar didn't search up all of his Squadron Hawks because he cast the second one and searched up more. So now Jibraeel's debating here what land to play, it looks like. He plays a Glacial Fortress tapped and passes back. Looks like we've got a lot of the glare issues resolved here, so that's pretty good. We just might have gotten some additional lighting. Like I said, we're working on alternatives. We're sorry about the lighting situation right now. Yeah, we're fixing it up. So 2 Hawks come in this time, taking Jibraeel to 17, and Jibraeel's going to vial in a Sword of Feast and Famine using the Stoneforge Mystic's ability end of turn. He just drew a Tectonic Edge, it looks like, or at least he has one in his hand, so that could take care of Edgar's Colonnade. Glacial Fortress comes down instead. No basic lands on Jibraeel's side. Here comes the sword. Let's see if he lets him get through here. Nope, he's going to chump it.
Uses the old Hawk as a chumper. Good play.
So now Edgar plays the Plains.
And it looks like we've got Spell Pierce, Mana Leak in Edgar's hands. And here comes a Jace.
Jace is going to get pierced.
And
Pierce is going to get pierced.
Such a pretty Jace. That's one of the advantages, I suppose, of always playing the same deck. Just like Alex, who always plays the same deck every week. You can really take the time to make it look nice.
Yes, you can.
And Edgar is quite the man for that.
I've been doing that with my mono black Balfour the Filed EDH deck over the past couple weekends. Just got a couple sweet foils for it outside before we got here. He puts a Sylvok Lifestaff and something else back on top of his deck after the Jace Brainstorm. Edgar does. Passes back, tapped out for the record, so if there's a Baneslayer to come down, he has the Jace to bounce it, but he has no way to keep it off the board permanently.
And 4 Baneslayer into the main deck, that is... Alright, so
it's intense.
That's something. So
it's severe.
Here comes some Squadron Hawks from Jibraeel's side this time.
Well, it's funny. I feel like people forgot about Baneslayer for a while, and then it fell out of favor. And you see him creeping back a little bit, but this is the first deck I've seen in a long time to just go with the full play set main deck, no joke.
Yeah, he is not fooling around. He still has a Gideon too on top.
He's
of
probably
else.
mad that he paid $50 each for his, and now he wants them to regain their value. So he's like, fine, I'll run a play set main. If I win the tournament, I can get my money back. Obviously, I don't think that for real, but you know what I mean.
Maybe. I mean, it wouldn't be the first time. You're like,
Preordain.
hey, look, I paid for these Baneslayer.
Did he just draw those cards with Preordain?
Uh,
He did. He drew the cards with Preordain. He put them into his hand.
Okay, that should not happen. Unfortunately, Edgar didn't. It possibly might have said something and been like, watch my hand. I'll put in my little earbud here. But for those of you at home, yeah, when that happens, when you cast Preordain, always keep your hands separate. It's very easy to pick up a game loss from that.
Because honestly, that should have been a game loss right there. But I didn't hear the interaction with the judge, if the judge noticed. But
no, it seemed like Edgar was okay with it.
Yeah, maybe, or he didn't even see it. Maybe, who knows?
But we saw nothing sketchy happen. And
no, obviously nothing. He obviously didn't put a card back that he didn't see. He kept the 2 at the end of his hand. Just didn't cast the spell right, unfortunately. You got to be careful, especially if you're running like if you're running in Legacy, or even if you're running the Pyromancer's Ascension deck. You really need to be careful, because you got so many different things like Sebion, Preordain, all these things and Brainstorm from Jace, all these things that do different things but are basically doing the same thing. You have to really focus on what which spell you cast and what the ability of that spell is.
Right.
It's just one of those things you need to really keep in mind.
Yeah, I mean, you have redundancy, but at the same time, your cards do different things. You have to do them in the right order.
They're subtly different, but they're significantly different when it comes down to, brainstorming off of a Preordain is the difference between a game loss or not. So now he's going to attempt to oust Edgar's Squadron Hawk here, it looks like.
Ousting a Squadron Hawk.
Not the weirdest play I've ever seen. I've delayed an Aeon Chronicler.
Sure, why not?
I was playing a mill deck. It wound up winning me the game.
Oh, man.
It was kind of hilarious, actually.
Alright, so let's see, back to the action. Looks like, for those just joining us, I'm Gavin Verhey here with Joe, Big Head Joe Panuska, here at the Star City Games Open Series in Dallas-Fort Worth. And we're in round 4 with Jibraeel Zaidi and Edgar Flores playing the blue-white Cablade mirror match. Edgar's quite the proficient player with his archetype, making 4 top 8s in the past 3 or 4 weeks with the deck. Or 3 top 8s? 4 total top 8s, right?
4 top 8s. No,
4 top 8s and then 3 with the blue-white deck?
Right. Yeah. 1 Legacy and 3 consecutive weeks in a row with the blue-white, and then top 8'd with Team America.
Yeah. And so Edgar knows what he's doing. Of course, on the right side, Jibraeel's got some spicy going on with Quad Baneslayer Angel, so he's no slouch either. And
Although we haven't seen him yet.
He's certainly in the driver's seat this game. He's got 2 Squadron Hawks and a Stoneforge Mystic with a Sword of Feast and Famine. And on his last turn, he ousted a Squadron Hawk. Looking at Edgar's hand, he's got a lot of options, but he's deciding which ones to do. He doesn't have a lot of blue mana, which seems to be the main problem here. It looks like he's got Mana Leak, Day of Judgment, Stoneforge Mystic, Spell Pierce, I think.
It looks like that, yeah.
And on Jibraeel's side, I see a Jace the Mind Sculptor. A couple Squadron Hawks that he searched up. Day of Judgment. I think that's his hand. 2 Hawks, Jace.
Okay, so yeah, so Day of Judgment comes down and followed up with a Stoneforge Mystic. Searching up Sword of Feast and Famine, and just like that, Edgar swings the momentum back in his favor.
But there's a Baneslayer Angel off the top for Jibraeel.
Now we get to see what's going to how good
you
this
have
choice
those
has been.
main deck, huh?
You have a full playset main deck, and there comes the Baneslayer. Pretty sick.
And down comes Seachrome Coast.
See what he can do to answer that. Well, some chump blocks might not hurt.
Yeah, I mean, the Squadron Hawk's going to help out a little bit, but Edgar needs to go for a more permanent answer. Granted, I think we saw a Day of Judgment in his hand, right?
In Jibraeel's? In Jibraeel's hand?
In Edgar's hand, I thought we saw a Day of Judgment.
Well, I know he cast one.
And yeah, it looks like Jibraeel has another Baneslayer Angel just waiting in the wings.
No pun intended, or every pun intended.
Spell Pierce off the top for Jibraeel here.
I mean, Baneslayer with a sword is pretty hot.
Down comes the Mind Sculptor. Spell Pierce from Flores. And the Spell Pierce back doesn't do anything, so it just hits the graveyard. Jibraeel clearly okay with draining that Mind Sculptor. Must have been able to see that coming.
Seems that way.
So leaving up Spell Pierce, and now it's just a matter of choosing what to do. He elects to not attack with Baneslayer Angel for fear of Sword of Feast and Famine coming in, and that's exactly the case.
Yeah. Probably not a bad plan.
So Sword comes down for Edgar, and now we have a kind of a control standoff, and in control standoffs, the player with the more lands is often the one who gets ahead. And Edgar's got more lands. Jibraeel is kind of hamstringed on lands right here.
And that's pretty brutal. I mean, because he wants to. He obviously Stoneforge just did a little breakdancing there. There's another sword, double swords.
All right.
In with a 5/6. Well, that's one way to combat a Baneslayer.
That's true. All right, Baneslayer.
And he's going to jump with the Baneslayer. All right.
And once again, Jibraeel, just running low on lands, was not able to equip the sword to Baneslayer Angel. But Day of Judgment will almost certainly clear up the board here.
Right.
He's looking at that other Baneslayer Angel, but I don't think that could be the right play. You can't put that sword; it's just gonna die again.
Yeah, he's gonna repeat, lather, rinse, repeat, and swing with all, swing with the Stoneforge. Just keep doing the same thing over and over again.
Yep. And here comes a Hawk. So that Hawk can pick up the sword next turn, but the double swords from Edgar is. Oh, here comes Gideon. Gideon is also a man who can pick up some swords and wield them well. Oh, he's not very good about holding on to them. He's got slippery fingers, that Gideon.
I can't take damage with my hands. They have no grip.
Here comes... Alright, so finally finding some more lands for Jibraeel. Now we can go... let's see. He could go equip Baneslayer Angel. Oh, no, he just wants to fight down Gideon.
He'll probably cast it a second main. He's certainly considering it.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's a little concerned. Yep, and there's the Mana Leak.
He does have it.
Edgar cannot Mana Leak that Baneslayer fast enough.
No.
Here comes Squadron Hawk. And Edgar he's like, all right, time to brawl. Discard Spell Pierce.
10 damage. Pretty good. And here comes all the myriad abilities from
all the swords,
Mr. Gideon.
Alright, mill 10 cards, get a wolf, untap all my lands, discard a card. Nice swords.
Oh,
and fully there's the red-white sword,
pretty
too.
brutal.
Alright, re-equipping a sword to a Hawk. Yep, that's what it looks like. And Cancel sitting in Edgar's hands. His trusty one of Cancel that has served him well. And an island from Jibraeel here.
Well, it doesn't seem like Baneslayer Angel was as great of a trump as Jibraeel had hoped. At least not in this game.
No, I mean, there was a point where if he had been able to equip the Baneslayer Angel with the Sword of Feast and Famine that turn and block his opponent's double-sworded Stoneforge Mystic, it would have been okay, but when he had to chump block there, that really, really caused a problem.
Yeah, absolutely.
And now Jibraeel's trying to figure out what to do to stay in this game.
And that's probably that's probably a bad sample, bad example there, because like, I mean, how often do you have the Stoneforge with double sword? You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
I mean, I think against nearly everything else, it's not that bad. But we'll see. Still a match. It's not a one-game playoff here. We've got a 3-game match here to look at. So.
And cancel from Edgar. And Jibraeel extends the hand for the first game, which is quite a good game played by both players. And often, I mean, I'd be happy to shake someone's hand or offer the hand, after a good first game when it truly is a good game.
Yeah, absolutely.
So the players go into their sideboards, and let's look over options here. On Edgar's side, those 2 flash freezes that he switched up, not doing much. Otherwise, options: Baneslayer Angel, Sun Titan, Oust, and Divine Offering. I imagine those Divine Offerings will come in for the swords.
Yeah.
And
Oust seems like it could be decent if he's, I don't know. I mean, like, if he's trying to get in around a Baneslayer, Oust is a cheap way to answer it.
Right, if he's worried about Baneslayers. I mean, Sun Titan, also a really nice card. It gives you an immediate impact, plus returns something. I mean, it gives you immediate impact, plus it's bigger than Baneslayer Angel.
Sure.
I mean,
it can't really block a Baneslayer, but it can swing in without fear of the Baneslayer. So,
assuming there's no sword on the Baneslayer, of course, but sword of Baneslayer.
Assuming there's no sword on the Sun Titan.
I see what you did there. So, look at the cards that the players can take out. On Edgar's
That's always
side,
my worst thing. Like, I'm so bad at sideboarding, honestly. Like, I never know what to take out. So what would you take out?
It's often tricky. Well, I definitely cut the 1 Silok Life Staff.
Yeah, obviously. Okay, that one is obvious.
Not doing a lot. The card that I know a lot of players have talked about cutting in the mirror match is actually Spell Pierce, which is still weird to me because every time I look at the deck list, I think Spell Pierce has got to be awesome. But people talk about cutting Mana Leak and Spell Pierce as the 2 options, but they really like Mana Leak, especially on the play for dealing with Stoneforge Mystics.
Yeah.
So we could see one of those potentially hit the bench. We're going to pick up some Divine Offerings and maybe a couple Sun Titans for Edgar. On Jibraeel's side of the board, let's see. Looks like we could see a Day of Judgment, probably not. Condemn, probably, maybe not. We saw Josh Rabbit's board in Condemn a couple weeks ago in Edison in the mirror match, but I don't know if Jibraeel's going to want it here. Mortarpod is an option. Divine Offerings clearly coming in for Jibraeel. Spreading Seas, another great card coming in, shuts off Celestial Colonnade and Tectonic Edge, which can be gigantic in this matchup. And then Sword of Body and Mind just as another sword will almost certainly get the nod over that one Basilisk color hanging out.
Yeah, that Basilisk color seems a little awkward.
Yeah, I mean, I think what will happen is Jibraeel will cut a lot of his one of removal spells, like his 1 Oust will probably hit the bench here. And his 1 Basilisk collar will probably hit the bench. Maybe that Condemn stays in, maybe it comes out.
Notable that we do have Spreading Seas in Jibraeel's sideboard, so respecting the Valakut.
The wait's over. Sign-ups are now
for
open.
sure.
I mean, the nice thing about Spreading Seas is, unlike a narrow card like Flash Freeze, which to be fair, Jibraeel also has, but Spreading Seas is both good against Valakut and also just against the control decks, right? Like, we've heard several people come in the booth and talk today, like Alex Bertoncini talked a little earlier about how the blue-red-black or the blue-white-black Hobblade deck is just really rough on its mana. So, you just Spreading Seas a Creeping Tar Pit, and not only did you shut off the Tar Pit, but you might just shut off their entire mana base.
Right, absolutely.
So the Spreading Seas they're certainly a great addition. 1 Mystifying Maze, another interesting card from Jibraeel. Mystifying Maze is a nice little answer to Sword. The Sword falls off when you Mystifying Maze it, and if all they're doing is getting you with a Squadron Hawk, the Maze can do a lot of work. Granted, it falls to Tectonic Edge, but as the players draw their opening hands here. See plenty of lands on Jibraeel's side. And they keep off to the races.
Plains from Jibraeel and a island from Edgar. And Jibraeel goes turn 2 with a Glacial Fortress into a Stoneforge Mystic.
Yep, and that's the card. Spell Pierce does not help with a Stoneforge Mystic on
Very true.
on the play, or either for that matter.
And he gets the Mortar Pod.
All right, interesting. So he's like, yeah, I don't really want a sword here. I'm not going to walk into your Divine Offering. Let's just get
the shuffling technique there seems a little brutal. Straight into the top of the sleeves. Like I'm surprised he doesn't break 100 sleeves.
Oh, what from the weird camera angle, actually, he's putting it on top of the rest of the deck.
Oh, okay.
He's like taking it out from the middle and then putting it on the top.
Oh, okay. But it looked like he was just kind of smashing it in like a.
Oh yeah. I don't think
a
the cards
side
would've,
shuffle, but like, yeah, I was like,
would've fit in
whoa
that
now,
smooth.
buddy. Look, he drew again off the preordain. And he points it out this time.
Yeah.
He's actually, let's see what happens.
All
I mean,
right.
I'm curious because he did just, I mean, Edgar pointed it out this time.
All right.
and-
So he lets it go.
Okay,
But
fair enough.
He's like, don't do that.
Right.
Yeah, he caught it this time. Yeah.
So he did notice. And we noticed that he noticed. I mean, it seems like Edgar played it cool. I mean, like, he clearly didn't move him around. He's on camera. I mean, like, it's like trying to steal from a place that, like, you know, has like a security camera right there pointing at you. Just got to be careful with that, though. Now remember, if your opponent isn't Edgar Flores, or wants to kind of be a jerk, they could, or if they, I mean, not even a jerk, if they want to follow the rules, they could, I mean, that's drawing extra cards, and that's considered a game loss.
Right. I mean, I have had people. I've seen people disqualified from tournaments because, you know, they even with the win on their table just because they did that.
Right. Now, for those of you listening, doing homework this weekend, first of all, good for you. Jibraeel equipped his Stoneforge with a Sword of Feast and Famine and attacked into Edgar. Edgar discarded an island. And then Jibraeel plays his Mortar Pod and gets his Germ out on it. And Edgar plays a more fancy Stoneforge Mystic that is facing down a Mana Leak.
Edgar's thinking about throwing a Mana Leak at it.
He definitely has a Mana Leak to throw at it, that's for sure.
I love the vigor in which Edgar plays his cards. He just snaps them right onto the table, and you can kind of hear the resounding snap.
Funniest thing was when we were in DC and we had Evan Irwin in a feature match playing Goblins. He was like just pile shuffling his deck, snapping the cards down. We could hear it across the room over the crowd.
Wow.
We were like, how can we hear this? This doesn't make any sense.
That is incredible.
It's pretty intense. Okay, so the Mana Leak does come down. Edgar searches up his own sword and passes back. Jibraeel's going to Jace and bounce the Stoneforge Mystic. Beat in with his Stoneforge Mystic. That's a play I've made a lot that I always feel weird making. Bouncing a Stoneforge Mystic with Jace.
Yeah, it kind of sucks, but the deck only has so many targets, you know, so if they already have a couple swords or, you know, somebody's just got to push damage through.
Well, I figure if there's nothing to put the sword on, the sword's harmless.
Right. Well, or at least in theory, anyway.
In theory.
It's only a matter, you know, it looks so harmless. It's weird watching this matchup because, like, some player has a seemingly harmless board position. They've got, like, a couple innocuous 1/1 flying Squadron Hawks. And, or, you know, maybe just a sword to the side or a mystic. And then, you know, in the course of 1 or 2 turns, suddenly everything changes. Yeah. They've got, like, their hand in play with counter magic. Their opponent has no hand anymore. It's,
you know, and that's like, that's how I feel playing EDH a lot of times. Like, you have, like, the players who want to play, like, busted combos, like Revelar combos out of their graveyards and, like, Karmic Guide and stuff like that. Like, you know, they just like, oh, I'm just playing some dudes, I'm just doing some stuff. Right. And the next thing you know, it's like, infinite loop. I'm like, what are you doing? It's so upsetting. So we got a Stoneforge that just searched up a sort of Feast and Famine, I believe, a second one. And that was an oust on a Stoneforge. And
all right, looks like Jibraeel upped in his Baneslayers. He's got 2 sitting in his hand right now. He's got Pocket Rockets just looking down. Yep, and here comes one. And Edgar's like, all right, whatever, untap my lands. And bam.
They sweeps him up.
Yep, Edgar is perfectly content with that.
Okay, he did actually. I didn't see him use the Mortar Pod, but he did.
Yep, and so here comes. It's got to be another Baneslayer, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I mean,
another one other play here is Tech Edge, but I think you just have to run that Baneslayer in there.
I think so.
And I mean, I understand being concerned about what Edgar could have. I don't know what your other line of play is.
He doesn't have. He can't spell pierce it. That's for sure. Hey, I can see us.
Yeah, it's actually kind of awesome. Oh, there's a Jace off to the side in Jibraeel.
Oh, okay. So yeah, he bounced the one. He ousted the other Stoneforge. Okay. I was wondering why there was 2 Stoneforges and then there were none from one oust. There's no Pyromancer's Ascension active on the board.
Yeah, that Jace on the side got lost a little bit in the shuffle.
Sure did.
Like I said, we see exactly what you see. So when a card is off screen, it makes it a little tricky. All right, so it goes for Hawking here. Nice little shuffling up of his deck, which is nice.
Smashes those cards together.
Yep.
Busts all of his sleeves and presents his deck to Edgar. So we got a flock of seagulls in Jibraeel's hand.
And yep, he's got the Mana Leak and Edgar. She's already on the wall.
Yeah.
Now, see, some players might be like, all right, whatever. Let's all continue to play this out for the next 17 turns. But Edgar knows it's a blue-white mirror match. Like, the games have taken a while. He does not want to draw. And that's certainly, like, an advantage of playing the deck a lot. You know when the game is over, and you know, all right, it's time to move on. Like, we need this extra time for the third game.
Right, that's one of the advantages that Edgar has over other players who may have been experimenting with different decks every week or, making, like, some changes, maybe splashing a color. Edgar knows how his deck operates. It's just like Bertoncini with his Rug or his Merfolk deck.
Right.
You play a deck that you know, play a deck you're comfortable with, and the decisions can just be automatic. They're almost second nature after a while.
Right, which is especially important with a deck like this where you have to play so fast. It's one thing if you're picking up, Boros for the first week. I mean, granted, Boros is a complex deck, don't get me wrong. Surprisingly complex, actually. I played it. I wrote an article about it this week, and I was amazed by the decision trees that you can play with Boros. But with a deck like this, playing it fast is important just for time reasons.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you can always resort to smash with something like Boros, even though it might not be correct. You can fall back on that line of play where you can just try to beat it with as much damage as you can, but with a deck like this, you have to really, especially in like a mirror match, you have to really make decisions. Every removal spell, every counter spell counts for so much more.
And players even try to present quickly for the third game, making their decisions. I mean, yeah, you only have 3 minutes, but they still know that time is crucial. Jibraeel looks like this isn't his first time to the blue-white rodeo either, so he's
although he has been preordaining the cards into his hand.
Yeah,
but
that's a little iffy. I don't think he'll do it again. I think Edgar called him on it. And, he knows he's going to be careful. I think if it were to happen again, Edgar would probably start calling over a judge.
I wouldn't let it slide. But I'm a little ruthless, especially sitting at the table like this, feature match. No mercy.
I mean, the good news is we can see what's going on, so we know that there's nothing sketchy happening.
Sure.
But still, you just don't want to promote those kind of practices.
Absolutely not. No, you don't want people to think that's okay. And to me, the one way to teach someone that it's not okay, especially when they're playing against me, is call the judge.
Spot left in a commander side of it. If you want to come fill that up, be number 4, come on up. We're also still taking signups for all of our winner boxes, drafts, and two-headed giants.
All right, players present, and here we go. Going to game 3 of this tight blue-white feature match.
Twitter, unless my Twitter's not working, Twitter seems to be pretty silent. Have you had any updates here?
Yeah, Twitter seems to be pretty silent. I mean, the one thing that's interesting is the feed's running slightly behind today. The internet is just not high quality here.
Okay.
So when we say something, they're getting it a couple minutes later, five or so minutes later.
Oh, wow.
Up to 5 to 10 minutes. So, eventually we'll be getting some feedback. For example, this is a good way to test it. I'll check the time right now. When you hear this, tweet at us.
Good call. Here we go here. We're well underway in game 3. Just been going land go here. The first couple turns, each player has 4 lands out. Both players have man lands. Jibraeel has 2 Celestial Colonnades to Edgar's 1. So in the man-land battle, Jibraeel is coming out on top. And that's a Squadron Hawk. Squadron Hawk resolves.
Yeah, so Rashad just informed me that right now the stream is at where he cast Preordain in the last game and put both cards into his hand. So they're quite a ways behind.
Wow, that's a bit
awesome.
behind.
I feel like I'm talking into the past. And you guys are listening to me in the future. This is kind of awesome. They said time travel was impossible.
Let's get this booth going up to 88 miles per hour here.
Also a good movie. All right, so here comes Squadron Hawk.
Hawk's down. A second Hawk comes down. Also resolved.
White Hawk down, as it were. Shuffles up, and here comes Hawks for Edgar.
Just throwing a bunch of birds around in the air. Now, what would be really awesome to see right now would be a Suntail Hawk.
Oh, man.
That would be great. They just need to make a Hawk-themed set.
Plus one to all Hawks.
Oh my goodness, are you serious? That'd be ridiculous. There is a card like that. Honor the Pure. So a Divine Offering was... it looks like he... Where did Divine Offering come from? Okay, not gonna lie. Lost a little focus there. I thought I saw a Divine Offering in the graveyard. I have no idea. Oh, there's one Squadron Hawk. I don't know. Anyway, Stoneforge Mystic comes down. Ignore that. Stoneforge Mystic is going to search up. My guess would be...
And worth noting is at the top of Jibraeel's deck there is that Condemn. So he at least left his 1 min deck Condemn in, and I would guess if he left the 1, it might have brought in the second. So that's a nice little tool to have. It's really nice against Sun Titans, against opposing Baneslayers. Deals well with people attacking who have swords on them.
Now, Jibraeel has a Preordain in hand. Let's see if he remembers to cast it correctly this time.
Okay. Yes, we'll be watching very closely for this.
Mm-hmm.
Hawk, Jibraeel. Yep. There goes the Hawk.
In with the Hawk.
The old discard Squadron Hawk plan. Not so mighty, but alright. So Squadron Hawk comes down for Flores here. For those of you just joining us, I'm Gavin Verhey here with Joe, Big Head Joe Panuska.
You just call me Big Head Joe.
Alright.
Nobody needs to know my last name. Not important.
Alright, well, I'm here with Big Head Joe, bringing you live coverage of the Star City Games Open Series here in Dallas-Fort Worth. This is round 4, and we're in a tight game 3 between noted blue-white Cobblade Master Edgar Flores and the newcomer Jibraeel Zaidi with 4 main deck Baneslayer Angels packing, and Zaidi's list. Well, Edgar is just playing the same old 73 cards, 2 flash freezes, and the sideboard are new. And we're in tight game 3. On Edgar's side, he's got a lone Squadron Hawk, Scalding Tarn, Celestial Colonnade, and a bunch of other lands. On Jibraeel's side, he's got 2 Colonnades, Stoneforge Mystic tapped, Squadron Hawk, and a Sword of Body and Mind. And equips up the sword there. And in comes the Hawk. Divine Offering. That's going to knock down the equipment. And Edgar's like, alright, whatever, I'll take 1.
You do not get your abilities.
Those swords are just so brutal. I mean, they really do become what the game revolves around.
As I've been saying, swords are not for decoration. Not this weekend. Over many weekends is what I meant. I haven't said that yet this weekend.
So it looks like there's a trifecta of Jaces in Jibraeel's hand there, along with the Condemn, some Squadron Hawk. All right, here comes a Jace from Edgar. And it seems likely that's going to stick. I don't see much in the way of opposition from the other side of the board, yeah.
You can't counter a foil Jace anyway, so.
And yeah, Edgar gets to brainstorm, hopefully finding him the lands he needs to get up on mana. Finds a bunch of spicy cards too. See a Stoneforge Mystic in that new batch. Alright, just passes the turn. And Jibraeel's no doubt eyeing a Jace of his own, hoping to kill Edgar's Jace and then his 3 Jaces to work. Alright, so if you see a shadow in the background right now, that's Rashad working on trying to fix the lighting situation. Nope. So, just so you know, it's not a gigantic eagle flying over the convention center.
It's not the sun setting for the last time over the world. Okay, so 2 creatures are going to beat in Jason Mind Sculptor.
Alright. And, yep, Mana Leak from Edgar is going to knock down that Jace. Edgar in a pretty commanding position, just played another land. He's going to have an opportunity to brainstorm this turn. Yep, and he goes for the brainstorm, drawing Baneslayer, Colonnade, Mana Leak. The Mana Leak is going to be crucial here, making sure that he doesn't fall behind Jibraeel's trifecta of Jaces.
He's got a Baneslayer and a Gideon he could cast with Mana Leak backup.
Yeah, dropping that Baneslayer here was pretty awesome. But, I mean, Gideon might also be good. Do you think you cast Baneslayer or Gideon here? If you're at home, tell us on Twitter. Do you think Baneslayer or Gideon's the right call? Or neither? Yep, Gideon comes down. The one thing Gideon does that Baneslayer doesn't is it completely protects that Jace, because on Jibraeel's turn you can be like, okay, well, I'll activate my Colonnade, attack. I lose my Colonnade, and I lose my Hawk. It trades with your Hawk, but my Stoneforge Mystic finishes off your Jace. So, and instead Edgar's like, I'm going to have none of that. I will let this resolve. Alright, so everyone who we asked earlier to tweet at us when they got this is when you're getting it. So that is the delay in the feed.
Yeah.
So it looks like we're about 8 minutes behind. 8 to 9 minutes behind.
Dead. Oh, 19 to 20. 19 to Edgar.
Just kind of updating people on Twitter here about the problem with the feed, so the internet's pretty slow here, so here we go. He's searching up a Sword of Feast and Famine, and he's gonna up Gideon here.
Yep, Gideon goes up to 8. And that's going to keep all the pressure off Edgar. And more importantly, all the pressure off Jace.
Absolutely.
So, let's see. Alright, Jibraeel goes for the Jace here. And a Mana Leak. Jibraeel's like, well, alright. Spell Pierce it. So he opts to not pay the 3, instead piercing it, leaving out mana to do other things. And serves in for 2 on Gideon. Edgar simply...
Did he even play a Mana Leak? I didn't see him put it down.
Yeah, Edgar played Mana Leak, and then Jibraeel Spell Pierce.
Saw him tap the mana, but I didn't see him actually put the card down.
Yeah, like I said, plays with such vigor, just snapped it right down. And Preordain from Edgar. He's going to show Jibraeel how Preordain is done. and draws a card. Looks like, was that a Sun Titan? Oh my.
Ooh.
That looks like a Sun Titan to me. Or no, that's a sword?
There is a
Fake
sword in his
Blair.
hand from the...
Oh, there's definitely a sword in his hand. I thought he drew a Sun Titan, but no, I think it was just a sword. Still, seems like a pretty awesome card to draw.
No, wait. What is that? Is that a Sun Titan?
Oh yeah,
That's a Sun Titan.
That is a Sun Titan. Oh, and he's so excited. Once again,
Knocking counters all over the place.
snaps down. Here comes Baneslayer Angel. Here comes Squadron Hawk. He's like, I don't think you have the Day of Judgment. I'm just going to do this. And the thing is, even if he does, even if Jibraeel is like, okay, untap day, Edgar can be like, okay, whatever, untap
Sun Titan.
Sun Titan. And that's quite the beating.
Yes, it is.
Especially with Divine Offerings on swords flying everywhere. That Sun Titan is brutal.
He needs to draw that day real soon. He's got a condemn. That'll buy him some time. I think he has 2 condemns, doesn't he? So
Yeah.
Jibraeel can buy a lot of time here with the condemns, but
Yeah, so look, he has both of his condemns that'll take down
there's a
that
Baneslayer to counter them. He could play Baneslayer to hold off the Baneslayer or even to trump the Baneslayer. We'll see.
I mean, he has condemn, which is what he probably wants to use ideally, right?
Well, he can use both, I think. I mean, he's got enough mana. He's got like 7 mana up, so he could you could go condemn, Baneslayer even. You know what I mean? I don't know if there are that many condemn targets worth condemning, but still.
I mean, Baneslayer still seems like a good one, although Sun Titan, of course, sitting in Edgar's hand, another good one to be condemned. Alright, so the board's getting a little cluttered here, but Edgar's board is Baneslayer Angel, Gideon on 7 counters, Squadron Hawk, Stoneforge Mystic, versus Jibraeel's lone Stoneforge Mystic.
Calling all commanders. Calling all commanders. We have 1 spot left inside of it. Please come on up. and
Edgar
sign
serves
up,
in.
and we'll get that
Alright,
match
so
started.
double condemn, 1 on Baneslayer, 1 on Gideon. And he doesn't do 1 at a time, which gives advantage to Edgar, but just lets both of them resolve anyway. And that definitely changes Edgar's board. Losing that Gideon really sucks for Edgar here.
Yeah, it's true.
So that condemn did some work. That's exactly why Josh Travis wanted it. But
Here comes another Gideon.
yeah, here comes Gideon number 2.
He was at 90.
+2, go.
Edgar's at 35.
Mortar Pod isn't going to do much against Gideon. It will take out some of those Hawks, though.
Oh man. It's like, yeah, so we got Mortar Pod, Squadron Hawk, Mortar Pod, Double Hawk sitting in Jibraeel's hand. Just trying to figure out where to go from here. Alright, so
Commander
activates
pod
calling
number
it,
4. Come on
dropping
up.
Gideon down to 3
Sign up for
counters.
Commander pod number 4. Please report to the side of it stage. You're about to begin.
He's going to go for, yep, second main phase Mortar Pod. Getting a Germ token. And
There's
down
Sun
comes
Titan.
Sun Titan. Sunny side up.
Targeted sword.
Divine Offerings, Mortar Pod. Mortar Pod guns down a Hawk. Sword comes back. Sword of Feast of Famine going on the Hawk. Crashing in for 6 with the Gideon, 3 with the sword.
Ooh.
Squadron Hawk, 1 with the Stoneforge Mystic.
Wow.
What a turn of events, and there's nothing Jibraeel can do. He is tapped out. Edgar's going to get to untap all of his lands, and that is the turning point.
He really needs, I mean, he needs a Day of Judgment, like, I guess a turn or 2 ago, right?
Yeah, I mean, he needed 1 yesterday. All right, and Edgar's like, whatever, I'm all in. Here's my Squadron Hawk. And by all in, what I really mean is I've got Gideon and a Celestial Colonnade back up.
Go.
Ship the sword over there. And, yeah.
That's.
I mean, you can play
Seems
Baneslayer.
about game, I don't know. What
You
about
play
scoop him
Baneslayer
up
Angel, but I don't
here?
know if that Baneslayer is going to be enough. I mean, now there's no reason to concede because, you're not going to run out of time. 1
True.
point is better than 0 points, right?
True.
But
With Edgar, is that life total correct?
35
It's a crazy life
from a
total.
double condemn.
Oh, very good point. Yep, absolutely. Wow. I was like, how did he get so high there? It's like they accidentally cut to like one of the commander tournaments
Sure.
that's going on right now. I was like, oh my goodness.
So yeah, Edgar ships the sword over to the Sun Titan. Sun Titan serves in, and here brings back the Squadron Hawk. Edgar's like, everybody's going to be attacking Gideon this turn. Go for it. So Baneslayer has to attack Gideon. Going to get blocked by Squadron Hawk, no doubt. Colonnade maybe coming in, but
Mike Lewis,
I think Ed
Commander
got
Pod number 4. Please report to the side event stage. Mike Lewis, Commander Pod number 4.
I just love Edgar's Edgar's absolute confidence.
Yeah, like it just snap swords in play. He's got no fear. He just knows he's gonna win. And he's like, just don't even bother, tech edge. All right, and that's match. Edgar takes it down in a close 3 games. Eventually takes the lead.
I had this before.
I don't know if the third game was that close, but
So we won't spoil this on Twitter. I don't know how we're gonna do this. If there's